What is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Wednesday. And first and foremost, as always, want to send out positive vibrations and blessings to anybody who could be listening. Now, with all that being said, we do know that the Los Angeles Lakers were back in action again on yesterday, taking on none other than the Memphis Grizzlies downtown Los Angeles at the Crypto.com arena. And of course, wouldn't you know it, the Lakers did prevail just as I said that they would. And of course, they did pull me through on a few parlays as well as in the spread too. So I don't know who thought that the Memphis Grizzlies, lacking Ja Morant, Steven Adams, and Clark, would be able to beat the Los Angeles Lakers, especially how good they've been. And just in case y'all didn't notice this, the Los Angeles Lakers, since the trade, now I'm saying since the trade, are number 2 in overall defense. And I give a lot of that credit to none other than Anthony Davis. And of course, accompanying him on that front line is Jarred Vanderbilt. And when they are in the lineup, it is a lot of things that's going to go on to create turnovers and protection of the rim with Anthony Davis. And Jarred Vanderbilt did not have his best game on last night, as we all know. He only had 5 points, but he did have 8 rebounds. But he was a minus 14 on the floor. And I really don't blame that a lot on Jarred Vanderbilt, because if you look at it, Wayne and Gabriel, he shot 1 for 1 in the limited minutes that he had and was a minus 15. So the reason why they were a minus 15 and a minus 14 respectively was because when Anthony Davis got blasted in his face, in the nose, and had to go to the locker room to make the bleeding stop, y'all all saw what happened. So with that said, Jarrett Jackson Jr., of course, was going to have his way. And there's no offense to Wayne and Gabriel, or no offense to Jarred Vanderbilt, but Jarrett Jackson Jr. is too much of a load for them to handle because of his size, strength, and athleticism, his ability to get to the rim, his ability to stretch the floor and shoot the three-point. And there's a reason why Jarrett Jackson Jr. had his first All-Star appearance this year and played quite well in that All-Star appearance, I must say. So the Memphis Grizzlies, we know, even without Ja Morant, are going to be a hard team to beat. We saw they had the Clippers right down to the wire and actually let the Clippers get away with, on Sunday night, I believe, their first victory since obtaining Russell Westbrook. And I do want to point out today, y'all, we see the Los Angeles Lakers have moved into sole position of the 9th place, inside safely in the play-in tournament, just like I said last week they would by the time Friday approached. I was just off by a couple of days because, of course, they blew their game to Minnesota, and I'm sorry I couldn't get you a breakdown on that game because I was in my retreat in a getaway, so didn't get to see too much of that game and able to break it down for you all. But whatever the Lakers did, I know a lot of people on Darvin Ham after the game for what he had to say about the players and saying that he was too hard, and a lot of people was calling for Darvin Ham head. I'm not one of him. I'm not one of those people, because to me, Darvin Ham is 10 times the coach of that of Frank Vogel. I don't care what anybody says. Frank Vogel's matchups were atrocious. Now, I will say this on Frank Vogel's behalf: he did not have the tools either. So we saw Darvin Ham wasn't looking too good when the team was, minus better players. Now that they've made these trades and they've added the likes of a Jarred Vanderbilt, added, a shooter of Malik Beasley, added, just a playmaker in that of D'Angelo Russell, who, by the way, didn't play on last night, and we expected him to, but we expected he should be coming back into the fold on the next game, or so I'm being told. We thought it would be this game, but they looked across at the opponent, and guess what? They said they can make it do what it do, and got to give shouts out to Dennis Schroeder once again. Even though he didn't have the best of numbers, he had 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists, and the 9 assists were big. One thing I will say about Schroeder that was really irking me last night, though, was, and Van Gundy kind of alluded to it, it's like he didn't want to say it, like he didn't want to hurt Schroeder's feelings. I don't know what it was, but, you got to call it like it is. And when Schroeder is in that pick and roll, he's looking more to shoot, more so than looking to pass. When Austin Reeves is in that pick and roll with Anthony Davis, he's looking to pass. And as a result, he gets Anthony Davis fed, man. And he really gets him easy points and looks at the basket. So as we continue to break down the Lakers, we can see that, Austin Reeves, to me, is a better fit with Anthony Davis. Now, when, of course, D'Angelo Russell comes back, we know he's one of the best pick and roll point guards in the game. So that's only going to be better. Then you can use LeBron James, of course, when he comes back and pick and roll with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, even when LeBron James comes back, needs to play with that same tenacity, because you got to think AD had 30 again. The game before that, he had 39. The game before that, he had 38. So since LeBron has been out of the fold, AD has been putting up monstrous numbers again, carrying the Lakers as he should be in the way he is expected to be. And I mean, Anthony Davis was a plus 24, had the highest plus minus of any Laker on the floor last night. And really, if truth be told, before the injury, I think they were going to pull away and build a great big lead on the Grizzlies. But of course, he had to come out. They had to stop the bleeding, plug up his nose. It was bleeding on the inside and the outside of it. And I do want to say this. How is that not a flagrant foul? We got all this contact in the league, to your head, to your face, that they say is a flagrant foul nowadays. And I understand it's supposed to, if it's a basketball motion, then it's not a flagrant foul because you're making a play on the ball. But I looked at that play several times, and if you ripping a play and you trying to reach for the ball, man, you had to be swiping for that ball hella hard, baby, and you weren't nowhere near the ball. So I'm just trying to figure that out. You say you swinging for the ball, but you done scraped off, man, how much layers of skin off this man big nose? I mean, you done scraped off all kind of skin off the man's nose, got his nose bleeding from the inside and the outside, blood dripping everywhere because you done did this way too hard and there's no flagrant. But then when they said he stepped up underneath the foot of when he stepped up underneath the foot of, I think it was, I don't know if it was Tyus Jones or whoever, Vanderbilt, not one Vanderbilt, I think it was Malik Beasley, who got called a flagrant because he came and closed out too much. And I understand that's a dangerous play that they're trying to take away. But at the end of the day, it's not like it was egregious. And they've said that before. If it's not egregious and you've really taken away, but I mean, that could have gone either way. But they made both of those replays relatively quickly, even though I didn't necessarily agree with either or. And it's not because I'm biased, trust me. And if you want to give it a flagrant for Malik Beasley, that's fine. But one thing I do, speaking of Malik Beasley, I do want to point out Malik Beasley yesterday, he only had 22 minutes. And Austin Reeves, of course, had 32 minutes. And you know, I think that was right, and that's the way it should be. It makes me wonder if Austin Reeves should be in that starting lineup. That way the Lakers don't have to play from behind. And Malik Beasley, he's fully capable. I don't know if he's just lost his confidence, but last night he was only 1 out of 6 on 3. He was a minus 13. He was 2 out of 10 overall, only had 5 points and 5 rebounds. So, you know, that's making me wonder about old Malik Beasley. I think he just keeps shooting it not to lose confidence. But at the same time, the disappointment I had in him wasn't even on the offensive side of the ball, because you're going to have times where you're shooting and it's just not falling. You have to make up for it on defense. And on the defensive end, time in and time out, I've seen on several plays where he didn't close out on three-point shooters of the opposition, where he misread switches and left men open for wide open threes that led to the Grizzlies continuously being able to stay in the game. And I think Darvin Ham, to his credit, recognized Malik Beasley was having not only an off game on the offensive end, but wasn't doing his due diligence on the defensive end of the floor. And as a result, he upped Austin Reeves' playing time, and Austin Reeves came through with them 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. He was 6 out of 13, 46%, 1 from 3 for 3, 33%, and a plus 11 on the floor. And there's another unsung hero I want to talk about, because you had several Lakers who were in double figures on yesterday. But the unsung hero that I want to talk about is none other than Rui Hachimura, who was, of course, as we all know, the first trade move of the Lakers this year before the deadline. Of course, the one that had, I think, none shipped out, if I'm not mistaken. But at the end of the day, when Hachimura came on board, he thought he would have solidified position in that starting lineup. And coaches, even assistant coaches and Phil Handy, really thought highly of him, the way he was shooting the basketball in practice. They didn't know that he could shoot that well. But since the acquisitions of course, Vanderbilt, Mo Bamba, and others, he kind of got relegated more to the bench. But he has been ready and stayed ready. And when he gets to that mid-range and he gets it going, he's a hard person to guard because he can rise up. He does have the size and the length in order to rise up over defenders and be able to knock down that sweet mid-range, which he did so effectively on last night, shooting 7 out of 11 for 63%. Only 1 from 3 for 33%, but 17 points and 6 rebounds. He definitely got the job done. And right when Memphis looked like they were going to run, Hachimura would pull through with a nice little pull-up right in the lane. And, of course, something else that he did was on fast breaks, he knew how to finish. And speaking of that, the only flaw in Anthony Davis' game on yesterday, I don't know if you noticed, was that of him turning the ball over, trying to make too many good passes. And on one play, I think if Troy Brown would have had his head on the swivel, then they actually would have been able to make a great play and finishing that fast break. However, Troy Brown wasn't paying attention. He wasn't ready for the extra pass, and that contributed to one of Anthony Davis's turnovers. However, Darvin Ham alluded to in the press conference after the game when they was talking to him in the post-game presser. He told AD, look, stop turning the ball over. If you get down low, instead of trying to pass it, just put it up off on the glass. Make sure you put yourself in position to rebound your own shot if you need to. And, of course, your other players will be in position to do so as well. But he just kept saying, put them on the glass. And then for some reason, Derek Fisher thought that was so funny in the postgame when he was telling, what's her name, put it on the glass. He was smiling a little bit too much. So y'all youngsters probably don't know what that means, but go look up old Sir Mix-a-Lot, put it on the glass, and then you might know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I digress. Back to what I was saying. Lonnie Walker, he didn't have the best of games. I'm kind of disappointed in Lonnie Walker. I've been high on him, and I'm not disappointed that he was just 0 for 4 from 3. But my disappointment in Lonnie Walker is, man, he was not giving it to the open man. He was trying to, I think, do too much because he's trying to buy himself more playing time. But getting yourself more playing time is getting and making the right play. And there was at least 3 times I know where, he kind of sucked in the defense and they passed the ball around the top of the horn. And next thing you know, Austin Reeves was wide open over here a couple of times calling for the ball. But instead you took contested threes and or dribbled to the hole and tried to pull up for contested mid-range jump shots when you have to swing the ball around to your open man. Speaking of open men, there was one man that was never open last night, and his name was Max Christie. He wasn't open because he didn't get any playing time. And I know the Lakers are, they have actually a problem that a lot of coaches wish they had is they're pretty deep right now. So you got to find out who matches up with who and who's playing best on any given night. I think once LeBron James and D'Angelo Russell comes back, then you're going to have a pretty good 9 to 10 man rotation for the playoffs. And then, of course, you wouldn't have to worry about playing rookies like Max Christie. But I like Max Christie. I think he's confident. I think he hits threes. I think he plays defense well, and at times, if Lonnie Walker gonna come out doing that, I don't see anything that Lonnie Walker does better than Max Christie, other than his athleticism as far as when he can yoke it on them fools when he on a fast break, because they don't call him Skywalker for nothing. But, going back to what I was saying, we had how many? Oh, in the Unsung, he wrote another one, because I said Hachimura is my boy, Troy Brown Jr. He was 3 out of 6 from 3. He was a plus 20 on the floor, second highest plus minus yesterday. He was 4 out of 10 from the field, but 3 out of 6 from 3. And one thing about that is Troy Brown over the past 4 games has been 13 out of 26 from three-point land, which puts him at 50% shooting threes. So he's developed some confidence. And like I said, they're going to be putting some pressure on the coach when LeBron James comes back to the fold. I talked about this on yesterday's show, that maybe just mainly, especially the way Malik Beasley has been playing. You don't want to hurt his confidence, but who said he can come out and just be a starter because he came out and hit 7 threes one night? Maybe that was an anomaly. We know he's third most, shooting the most threes in the league as far as attempts, but we are looking for accuracy, and Troy Brown has been giving you that. Plus, he's not slipping on the defensive end like Malik Beasley. So maybe because Troy Brown does have that length, maybe you can just get Troy Brown in there with the LeBron James, even though Troy Brown is more of a wing instead of a guard. But I think you can make that combination work with the D'Angelo Russell, Troy Brown, D'Angelo Russell as the point, Troy Brown as the 2, LeBron as the 3, Vando as the 4, and AD as the 5. And the reason I say that is because you can still spread it with Troy Brown and D'Angelo Russell and somewhat with LeBron James, even though we know he has been having shooting trouble. But at the end of the day, that's going to be a big help when D'Angelo Russell comes back. And you may not want to keep Vando in there, but I think having him out there with AD just really protects your front line. It gives you so much rim protection that people are not going to have an easy path to the basket, and it's only going to make you better defensively. And you can still hit threes, and you can begin to stagger minutes from that point, and then you can bring in other players who are more capable of shooting threes and spreading the floor. The Lakers going to have a lot of ways to spread the floor, and like I'm telling y'all, nobody is worried about anybody. And if you look at the standings, like I said, the Lakers have crept back into ninth place solely. Now tonight, we have some games of interest. It's going to be the Mavericks versus the Pelicans. It would be nice if the Pelicans could lose, that'll continue their downfall as the Lakers continue to rise. You had the Blazers against the Celtics. It would be nice for the Blazers to lose their game as well so they can continue their downfall as the Lakers continue to rise. And, of course, the Thunder against the Sun. Definitely need the Suns to take care of business against the Thunder because they creeping right up behind the Lakers, and that's not where we want them. We saw that SGA came back last night. I saw a little bit of that game with Sean Gilgeous-Alexander, who was able to return to OKC on yesterday, and they took out the Golden State Warriors. You understand me? So OKC is not giving up on this season yet. So the Lakers don't want to get overconfident because you got OKC creeping up behind them. You understand what I'm saying? And then the Bulls and Nuggets, that won't really affect the Lakers too much. But what will is the Raptors and the Clippers, because the Lakers are only a game and a half behind the Clippers for that 8th spot, baby. And the Clippers, the only game they won, it was against a depleted Memphis team. And I won't call them depleted because that's the very same depleted team that the Lakers beat. However, the Clippers team, Dylan Brooks wasn't playing because he was suspended for his 16th technical foul of the season. So there was a little bit more depleted than when Memphis got a hold to, when Lakers got a hold to Memphis. But Dylan Brooks, he was shooting well early in the first half, made a lot of threes, wasn't necessarily doing that in the second half. I knew they wouldn't fall. I've been watching the Grizzlies for far too long, and I knew that that's what would happen. His confidence ran out when it came to clutch time. You can hit them threes early on with no pressure and talk that junk, but at the end of the day, you couldn't do too much. Some of the calls I do want to point out were egregious. The no call, man, Austin Reeves was diving for the ball. It's a loose ball. They call a foul on him. He had just as much right as that ball to anybody else. There really was no possession on that. Another thing, Schroeder, he's just so greedy. Like I said, he has to calm himself down and be able to play in that pick and roll more under control and look to keep feeding Wilt Davis, as Darvin Ham is choose to call him. But man, like I told y'all, the Lakers about to make a move once they made these trades. This is a different squad. Last year's squad, everybody want to give LeBron James hell. Last year's squad, 8 of those players are no longer even in the NBA. Dwight Howard, you see where he is. Need I go down the list? Carmelo, you see where he is. Need I go down the list? A lot of them. So now that these other players that the Lakers just got rid of, I dare say, who are they going to be playing for next year? And I'd be sad to say that Westbrook might end up in that same situation because I don't know too many teams that are going to be in line to get Russell Westbrook, unfortunately. And I hate to see his career fizzle out like that, but it is what it is. We looking forward to that competition, baby. We looking forward. Everybody want to say Suns. Skip Bayless all on TV. The Suns this and the Suns that. Suns don't have a bench, baby. They're going to be a very formidable opponent. But finally, after 3 years, we will be able to see a LeBron James against Kevin Durant matchup because the injuries have plagued the both of them. They have not been able to face each other in 3 years, which has been an atrocity for the NBA. To me, the two best players in the NBA, and that are Kevin Durant and LeBron James. And I won't say necessarily now because, of course, I know what Luka brings to the table. And, of course, I understand that Giannis is that beast. So if I really had to pick, that's what I'm saying. But I'm talking about traditionally overall for the past decades, who has been those guys. And that's been none other than LeBron James and Kevin Durant. And if Kevin Durant can somehow stay healthy and remain in the league for 10 more years, which I don't think he could because he's already 34, I think 33 or 34. But, maybe he could sniff at LeBron James' record. I don't know. He'd be lucky if he passed MJ, though. He probably will pass MJ, though. So MJ just going to keep dropping. Then what's going to happen one day when MJ outside of the top 10 in scoring? Then what? We talk about that on another day, man. I'm just having fun. If you haven't done so already, you see that little bell in the corner. Hit it. Subscribe. Like. Share. Share it on the groups. Share it in your Facebook. Share wherever you got to share it. We trying to start a movement, baby. Y'all got me stuck. I was close to these 5,000 subscribers. Let's get it going, man. And if you haven't already noticed, man, it's going to stay like this right on to the real Much love to these haters. And y'all, I might just put the song back on there in the morning just for the hell of it. But anyway, right on to the real. Much love to these haters. I'm out.